So, why do nurses do what they do? Nurses do what they do to provide care to the patient. Whether that's giving medications, doing wound care, um, whatever. That's what they do. That's why they do what they do. They want to be there for the patient. Now, some do it for the money, and some do it for the job opportunity because it's everywhere. Nurses are needed literally nearly everywhere, and it's a growing industry, and they just can't get enough. So how do they do their jobs? Well, they pass medications, they do assessments, they do evaluations, they look at these patients every day and see how well they're doing. And they're able to do that through time management. Now that time management is figuring out when they can do what, when they can do the wound care, when they can get past the medications, when can they do assessments, when they can do their documentation, which takes up a whole big portion of their day, nearly 30% of it. And what matters, what really affects all those issues, all that time management, is the patient to nurse ratio. And what that is for every 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 patients goes to one nurse. Now what that means is that nurse is responsible for those 6 to 9 patients. Now that ratio is based on a few things. It's based on what kind of facility you're in, hospital, nursing home, rehabilitation. It's based on what the government says is okay and what your facility says is okay. And usually it swings from one word to the other, but mostly it's anywhere from 6 to 9, 9 being a great degree, it's to one nurse. And it's a numbers game. It's not the acuity of care. It's not how acuity means how much care that patient requires. So you could have 6 patients with the flu. You can have 6 patients with a runny nose. You could have 9 patients with broken backs. It doesn't matter. It's all different. So what that means is you can have 6 patients who need very little care or 9 patients who need an extreme amount of care. And it doesn't matter because you still have the same amount of time to give all those patients that care. What that means is that sometimes a nurse can be extremely limited in doing what they have to do in order to provide that care that not only they want to provide, but they're required to provide as a nurse, as a licensed and employed nurse in this country. You are supposed to apply this amount of care to each patient, and you're responsible for that. And when you can't meet that, your job, your license, sometimes your freedom can be at risk. And it's not fair, it's not proper, and it's not even moral that this ratio can affect so much. So how do you make the workplace better? How do you make being a nurse experience better? How do you provide more care to the patient? How do you give the patient a better experience at a facility? By lowering the patient ratio from a manageable level so each nurse can not only have a less stressful day, but do their job effectively, because that's what's most important. Doing their job the way they're supposed to do it, the way they're supposed to do it, without letting ratios or time management or a general handicapping by a greater establishment from doing their job. Acceptable patient-to-nurse ratio provides a better environment for both the nurse and the patient. Nurses matter, don't get me wrong, but patients are the customers of the facility. So what that means is if they have a better experience, they're going to be a happy patient. A happy patient comes back. They're happy customers who are turning into repeat customers, which is extremely important because you need to make money for business to stay open, and that's what nurses are. That's what hospitals are. Nurses are meant to provide care and rules and stipulations that provides care, and the rules and stipulations that affect time management make it difficult to provide such care. So it starts to affect everything. Supporting and not restricting patient ratios is the best possible action that can lead to both improved workplace satisfaction in patient care in healthcare settings and after discharge. Safe staffing helps improve patient safety and care. Safe staffing helps improve medical errors. What's a medical error? A medical error is when a nurse either gives the wrong medication, gives too much or too little of the medication, or doesn't notice an issue with such medication. Say if the patient's blood pressure is low for whatever reason, and they give an antihypertensive, a medication that lowers blood pressure. and they're too tired and they realize what they're doing. They don't check the blood pressure. They don't have time, which is wrong no matter what. But there's so much going on that they're not thinking the way they should. So they give the medication, the blood pressure drops more, the patient goes into arrest, and it just causes all these preventable issues from something that can be fixed very easily. That should never have happened. Exhaustion can lead to so many things. They can lead to forgetting to clean a wound, forgetting to check on the Foley, check on this, check on that. Little things like that, just such big things, and affect job performance. It affects how the patient gets better, affects teamwork ability. It can affect everything, and reducing the ratio is exactly how you fix this issue, where it gives the nurses who are no longer going to exhaust themselves taking care of too many patients, taking care of care that is way too high for the acuity. Rejuvenated nurses are able to catch these issues with patients that tired nurses may miss. Each and every day, a patient will do an assessment, an evaluation of the patient completely, from head to toe. And that's the time when they're going to be able to catch new things, catch issues that may have been missed by the nurse before. A tired nurse may run through that. A tired nurse may not be able to see certain things. Rejuvenated nurses can catch those things. And what this means, that means the patient is in a better health, the patient is happier, the nurse is happy that they did their job. When they catch things, they can have satisfaction saying, hey, I made a difference today, instead of, I missed this little thing and it caused this big problem. It decreases these patient complications. More time with patients and other patient care workers to provide a better overall environment for the patient. Nurses have CNAs, they have doctors, they have all these respiratory therapists, all these other professionals there that they had the time to speak with them to say, hey, did you catch this with this patient? Did you catch this with this patient? And they can go, yeah, I'll look into this. And then new avenues open up. Patients get better. Patients are able to miss bad complications from things that should have been caught. And lowering the patient ratios, allowing people more time to take care of the patients is exactly how you improve everything in a facility. And you know what? Patients don't want to leave. They want to go home. They don't want to be in readmissions. Proper staffing decreases medical readmissions. That means that when you go home, you don't have to come back to the facility because of an issue that was missed, because you now have an infection in a wound, because you now have a sickness that was missed, because you didn't even notice this whole other issue that was going on. Patients will go home, they will stay home, and they'll be happier. And maybe when the next issue comes along, they'll go back to the hospital because they know how great it was there. Closer, more private care allows for better assessments to make sure core issues are taken care of before the patient is discharged permanently. And it also improves satisfaction for the nurse. Your job is supposed to be something that makes you happy, something that offers your best to the community to make it better. The environment at work is very important in how you're able to do your job. Less stressful working environment improves the quality of your work. If you're not there to do your job right, why are you there? And you shouldn't be handicapped by things that are out of your control to do your job the correct way, especially when lives are on the line. It improves time work between the nurses and other departments. Like I said earlier, other departments have to speak. These are departments designed to look at specific parts of the patient. When you're all meeting and able to talk, you're able to see the whole picture and not just minor glimpses of what's going on. The ability to work together, to work with clear heads, to have less stress is vital, and all this can be solved by lowering the patient ratio. It also decreases burnout and exhaustion. What is burnout and exhaustion? Burnout is just when you're working too much, when you've been working overtime, when you've been working 12 straight hour days in a row, and you wake up one morning and you just can't get up. It's extreme. No, it's when you're so tired, and it's not just physical stress, which it is. It's the emotional stress that starts building up. And this affects call-outs, which can affect your job. One morning you just don't want to get up, so you call out. And then you get sick, so you have to call out a few more days. And it just doesn't look good with your superiors. You don't feel good. You don't want to call out. You don't want to say you're not able to do your job. But when you've been working so many hours and you've been giving so much into it while you're there, that's what happens. A person can only take so much. And exhaustion can lead to medical errors. Which can lead to affecting your license, possible criminal actions. It's just something that can be avoided with the lower the ratios. Long hours of nurses can affect the skeletal system of the body. Hours on their feet can cause damage to the knees and feet that lead to chronic pain. Extreme amount of bending and lifting can lead to back pain, both temporary and permanent. I've been a CNA for 5 years now, just 5 years. I'm 30 years old and I have back pain. I'm way too young for that. I'm way too young to have pain in my knees. I know ladies who I work with who are in their 50s and 60s, and they do the exact same work I do every day, and they're still able to do it. I can't imagine how they feel when they go home. Longer overtime hours can lead to illness. Nurses show a high chance of curing heart disease. Nurses are 2 times more likely than any other profession to acquire some kind of cardiovascular disease, just from the stress, just from long hours. Symptoms of burnout can be fatigue, irritability, insomnia, headaches, back pain, weight gain, depression, and hypertension. Not only does that affect your professional life, the way you work, that affects your home life. You're not sleeping that much. You're irritable. You're yelling at your husband. You're yelling at your wife. You're yelling at your kids. You have headaches. You can't lift certain things. You can't go to the mall with your family. You can't go to the park with your family. Weight gain, depression, hypertension, that's your health. That's putting yourself up at risk of heart attack, of stroke, of all these other issues that can be solved with lowering patient ratios. It can not only save your patient's life, it can save your nurse's life. 23% of nurses are at risk of burnout and 15% are a chance of job dissatisfaction. 15%. That means that of all the nurses in the country, which is a huge amount, nurses all over the place, and we just need more of them. 15% of those nurses are unhappy with where they work. That should not be. Lowering patient ratios can improve patient care and performance of the nurse staff themselves. Like I was saying earlier, patients are customers. They want wants and their needs satisfied if they're going to be at a facility and be happy with that care they're getting. What are their wants? What are their needs? Their needs are the wound care, the medications, any medical care they're getting there, going to the bathroom, getting the showers. All that needs to be seen. It's hard just to do that with certain with too many patients, too high of acuity of care would cause the ratios not being what they should. Their wants ain't filled. You can't get them a new blanket. You can't give them that extra shower. You can't give them the cup of OJ they ask for or coffee in the morning because you're so busy doing the other things you're kind of doing. You're not even doing that well. Meeting all their wants and their needs makes for a happy patient. A happy patient is a happy customer. A happy customer is a return customer. That's exactly what you want in a facility. Not only are you providing care and doing the right thing, but you're making money as a facility, and that's important. Acceptable patient ratios can lead to a constant improved care for the patients, improved environment for not only the patients but the staff as well, and lowering the risk associated with long hours and heavy loads that nurses near constantly find themselves under. Nurses provide care for people who are in need of it. They are the first on the floor to evaluate and assess patients and the ones giving and recording medications. They are the first to be there when something goes wrong. Exhausted and overburdened nurses are unable to do these skills effectively and in fact hinder them from doing it correctly. Better ratios and answers that make issues in the health setting, from employment satisfaction to patient mortality, and nothing is more important than that. Thank you.